Okay, 大家好, after long, so happy to see you again. Today I will just try to refresh what we studied in last week. I will just cover the 3 points of the fifth point, sorry, the third point called the transforming the adversity, the obstacles into the path of practice and how to do that. So, before that, I think I received one question. I will just go to the question where Loon sent me a question about somebody saying they cannot cut the connection with the guru, so they have to compromise and they have to move on, and then how to move on, something like that. So, if I'm understanding, that person might be having difficulty in maintaining the relationship with the guru. I'm just assuming that maybe that's just a temporary thing because this is a very, this is sometimes very regular thing because in this modern time, we have a lot of doubts with regard to the Dharma, with regard to the teachers, because we get to see a lot of information that which some of are not really true and honest. And based on that, also some people make assumption that this guru is bad or weak or something like that. However, in Vajrayana teachings, it's once you have taken the major empowerment, the two-day empowerment like Hey Vajra, it is not prescribed to what to call. You can always examine the guru, but once you take the empowerment, I think you have to stick to the idea that the guru is the main deity or the Buddha. And that makes a lot of sense in the practice of Vajrayana and also in a lot of sutras, like the 50 verse of the Guru devotion, the main text about how to find the Guru. It also said that the Guru is actually the foundation of all the qualities of the students. Therefore, one has to always respect the Guru because he's the cause for one to attain Buddhahood. So, while still going through that kind of doubt, if one still cannot maintain that perception about the Guru, then maybe rather than being angry or reaction showing reaction to the guru, I think it's better to be uh, sort of neutral or just like being ignorant about those news or the bad qualities you might see about the guru. So that's the last option, which I might not really recommend, but I think that's practically something that we can do in nowadays because it's quite challenging in this modern time. But the best thing is whenever you see the gurus or your teacher whom you have received the major empowerment and you cannot still maintain the relationship, to, to be able to maintain the relationship, you can actually try to remember his good qualities in the past, his kindness to you. These kind of things also help in reconnecting back to the guru. Therefore, mm, one should not always continue the doubt over the guru because it's not really good for the practice. No matter what others do, I think we should not be bothered by what others do. If you react to what others do, what others say, then I think it's not a good sign of having practiced the mind training or the lojong, because that's what we are learning today, right? The today's chapter on transforming the adversary to the path. Can we have the slide? Yeah, next slide. Transforming adversity to the path of awakening. Normally, this is also the same thing. Here it said that when the world, what you should do. So when such things, the negative things that you started to see around you, the place, the people, including the guru. So it's very practical that you should transform your own perception rather than blaming others. So this is the big problem in the Dharma nowadays. When something is not really making sense to you, you started to blame right directly to others rather than seeing what is the weakness in yourself. So this mentality that you yourself is the perfect one, excellent one, and there's no reason that I cannot do it. With this kind of superior mentality, you started to see and you have started to see the faults in others, including your guru. So that comes from the pride, the sense of pride and the self-grasping, self-cherishing, which is something in the relative bodhicitta practice say must be actually abandoned. So therefore, so therefore, uh, so whenever you have this doubt about the guru, about the teachings, you have to look inwardly and blame it upon yourself. So that is the way of the relative bodhicitta to transform all the hostile negativities in your path into the path of awakening. So maybe it's in the next slide. Can you go to the next slide? So drive all the blame into one. So these two, contemplate the great kindness for all, is the true way of transforming the negativities, the hostilities, the obstacles that you see face in your path into the good thing about the bodhicitta practice. This is included in the category of relative bodhicitta. So if one still has the problem of not blaming oneself, but rather to others, then I think we have not understood the real meaning of the Buddha's teaching. Because in the Mahayana Buddha's teaching, everything is a mind. Even the negative forces is your mind. As long as there is a self-grasping that this is the only single thing that is causing all the problem in your life, if you don't accept that, I think it's impossible for one to practice the bodhicitta or the mind training or go to the stage of the Buddhahood. That's why one has to always readily accept that all the adversity, obstacles in the form of enemies, in the form of bad places that you happen to be in, if you try to blame it for some outer circumstances, then you are actually going far from the teachings of what the Buddha is saying, that everything is mine. We're actually going from far from this core message. Therefore, whenever you have these things, bad things happening, just always drive all the blame into oneself. But oneself doesn't mean you as a human, but but the one refers to your own self-cherishing mentality. That's the problem. The pride is the mentality. The pride, the self-cherishing is the only one thing that you have to blame everything. So if you try to be practical, let's say when there's somebody giving teachings and you, if there's no pride at all, if there's no self-cherishing, you will continue to respect that teacher no matter whether he is sitting on a high throne or a low throne, whether he's a young or old, whether he is a ngakpa or whether he's a lama, whether he's a male or female. As long as there is an absence of pride, there's always a chance that you will have respect for others. That's why I think it's very important. This also answers the question, the one that we talked in the beginning of the text. So this is the first thing that you can do to transform the obstacles on your path. And mm, on top of that, the teaching said that you can also contemplate on all these obstacles, the nature of the obstacles, how it begins, the origin, by thinking that they're actually caused by the karmas, and those karmas are actually created by the self-cherishing. And the self-cherishing is nothing outside but your own mind. So in this way also you can actually contemplate that all these bad things occurring in the form of place or person is actually caused by one's own bad karma. So this is the way how you can blame all these bad things upon your own self-cherishing. And that's when you will start to inspire yourself to get rid of self-cherishing by striving to realize what is the wisdom of selflessness. So that's the first thing. And contemplate all the great kindness of all means now once your pride is reduced, still you are practicing the relative bodhicitta. Once your pride is reduced and you started to see this enemy also as your friend. Now, it might be very impractical at the beginning, but those who have been doing the practice of contemplating all sentient beings as your mother in daily basis, it's much more making sense in your daily life, especially when it's like dealing with the enemies or the people you don't like, or they have been the mother in the past. It's pity that they don't know, but I know the reality is, therefore I should forgive them. Because in the past, when they have been the mother or the father or your family or son or daughter, they have not done only benefit thing for you to protect you, to give you food, even giving you clothes when there is no means of providing this livelihood. So in this way, if you try to generate the kindness to all, there is also transforming the adversity, means the enemy in your path into actually into the path of bodhicitta. Because here you're transforming of the mentality, thinking that all sentient beings are very kind to you, is a practice of relative bodhicitta. So therefore, by this one singular transformation of mind, you're actually not only blocking the adversity, but actually also generating the relative bodhicitta. So this through this singular change of mentality, you are actually doing two things: transforming the adversity obstacles and getting to the real practice of relative bodhicitta. In a way, this is also like exchange of bodhicitta, you know. So therefore, these are very practical, important, and if you continue to do that, I think even blaming like the gurus for not being good to you will slowly fade away, and you will have nothing but a good perception about everyone, including your guru. So next slide. So So also in the text of Abraham, it said that when you started to see that your sentient beings are actually been a mother, they have been also the cause for one to attain Buddhahood from the practice of uh, the four immeasurables up to the practice of the Buddhahood. The sentient beings, without sentient beings, we cannot practice all these the qualities of the Buddha. Therefore, in this way, you can also think that all sentient beings are very important in your own practice of gaining Buddhahood. So this is also a very important thing to remember always. So therefore, whatever problem there is, think that it is caused by your own mentality, and that mentality is self-cherishing or self-grasping, and everything is because of that. So I must reduce the self-grasping rather than blaming others for that. So that is the true way of practicing transforming the adversity by doing the relative bodhicitta. And now the practicing of transforming the adversity by based on the ultimate bodhicitta. Here, it means means by the practice of visualizing the four Buddha, all the impercept, all the false perception as the full body of the Buddha, this is said to be the supreme protection because you are practicing the emptiness. So it's very simple, and also all the masters of the Lojong commentary like Garam Jampa and Apirimpoche and my own teachers has said that emptiness is the final tool to get rid of the false perception or the false grasping, including self-grasping. They are a temporal way to reduce self-grasping, but they don't root it out. The final tool is actually the emptiness, realization of the emptiness. That's why it is said to be the supreme tool to get rid of false appearance or the confusions. Therefore, the four kayas, like the rupa kaya, the dharma kaya, the swabhaka kaya, the sambhoga kaya, and all these three, when they are united, the nature, the essence of the body is called the fourth body called swabhavika kaya. So these four kayas, if you think, so when you have this misperception, right? You have this misperception. You have all this, for example, the obstacles in the path. At this point, when you want to practice transforming the adversity, you have to visualize obstacle. Obstacle is the object to visualize and think that they are just appearing like an obstacle, yet the reality of this obstacle is the four kayas of the Buddha, or if that is difficult, you can think they are actually essentially empty by nature. And when you start to think like that, this obstacle started to transform into the four kayas of the Buddha, and that's where you are actually continuously visualizing the emptiness. And that becomes, again, as I said in relative text, relative bodhicitta, there is two aspects now. One, you are actually transforming that obstacles. Two, we are actually focusing on the emptiness, the essence of the obstacles. So there's obstacle, there's the nature of the obstacle. The nature of the obstacle is the four kayas, which is the emptiness. So this might look a little bit same like but you have to look from the sutra point of view. In the Vajrayana point of view, the four kayas sometimes is very sophisticated, and it might not be as explained in the sutras. So here, talking from the sutra point of view, sutric point of view, you have to think like that. This is obstacles. You have obstacle in your path. You are doing sadhana and you are hearing this lot of noise outside by the neighbor and you are angry. But when you are hearing that, you have to stop the angerness by thinking that noise created by the enemy is actually the essentially empty by nature. It does not exist eternally or truly. So in this way, you're actually seeing the obstacles, the sound or the enemy, yet you are also your conviction based on that. The result of that conviction is actually focusing on the emptiness, which is the true nature of the enemy. So in this way, you can protect your mind. And that's the main thing. Emptiness is the best protection of the mind from what? Obstacles. From what? The obstacles of self-grasping. Self-cherishing is the biggest obstacle that we have. The things that you see in the form of human, like the ghost, the unpleasant sound, these are just a mere reflection. These are nothing. They are just like a, reflection on the water, but you touch it, there's no real moon on the water. What really you have to think is that beyond that is the emptiness, which we are still not seeing, but one must see that through a lot of rationalizing, and then contemplation, day by day. And that's possible. One day you will see the emptiness, and whenever there's a sound or somebody unpleasant form, you can actually unbother. You don't need to reaction. You will not react to that, and that's how you can continually focus on the emptiness. So using the emptiness as the resultant uh, aspect of the focus, or by focusing on the obstacles, is called protecting your mind or transforming the adversity through the practice of ultimate bodhicitta. So this is very much simple, right? So at this point, like how to practice the four kayas. So when you are wanted to really practice the four kayas, obstacles, you first put the focal object like obstacles of some sort of obstacles like your enemy in your vision, and think that they are actually essentially unborn. They are not born really. They are just a mere reflection. So that reflection or the point of focus is called Dharmakaya. And when you start to go in the next stage, thinking that the same obstacles essentially is not stopping or cannot be stopped because there's no real stopping. So that is called the focusing on the second kaya of Sambhoga Kaya. And then when you know that these things, the obstacles, the enemies and so forth, they actually does not have they truly or essentially they cannot exist or remain forever. So that is the kind of focusing on the Nirmana Kaya of the Buddha. And when you see that the obstacle has the combination of all these three body, and they are inseparable. They are one. All these three is one, yet they are coming in the form of the obstacles. That is the fourth body called Swabhavika Kaya, or the essential body of the Buddha. So in this way, if you try to train your mind by focusing on the essence of the four kayas, based on that obstacles, that is called transforming the obstacle into the path of the bodhicitta. Which path of bodhicitta? The ultimate bodhicitta. So you are actually in the stage of ultimate bodhicitta practice. So also Abraham Rinpoche has added that on top of that, you can also, if you are sometimes forgetting the focus, what you can do in the ultimate sense is think that the obstacle is actually a mere reflection of the nature of the mind, and the nature of the mind is empty. You can also think like that in this context of ultimate bodhicitta to transform obstacle into the path. So there are two ways, right? One, to transform the obstacles by thinking they are the four essential body of the Buddha, which is the emptiness. If one is more comfortable, then one can think that the obstacle appearing to you is actually essentially the nature of mind, and the nature of mind itself is also empty by nature. So this too is the way of transforming the obstacle into the path by based on the ultimate bodhicitta. So, so this is the second way of transforming the adversity. Now the third one, which is called the special sort of approach. The third way of transforming the adversity is uh, by the four practice. Okay, yeah, this is the slide. So here, the third way or the third approach by the means of four practice to transform the obstacles on the path is, now it requires you to do more than the previous two. The relative bodhicitta and the ultimate bodhicitta is actually what we call mental exercise. Now, this third one is physical exercise, where you have to do conduct, you have to do by your performance. So here you have to do four things. You have to do accumulation of merit, a merit of like the merit of accumulation of merit, like good karma, and then you have to accumulate wisdom. Like the wisdom mostly is the meditation, like with the 7 point Vairocana posture and so forth. And then the second approach again is the bodily thing, where you have to always confess the negative actions that you have done, or purify the negative actions you have done. For in Vajrayana, we can do by Vajrasattva prayers, right? Or if you, from the sutra point of view, in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, second chapter, I think, they talk about the four means of um, mm, destroying the negative things. The four powers, sorry, the four powers, by the four powers of destroying the negative things. The basis power, the thing, number sunji the power of suppressing or refuting the power of antidote, and then the fourth power, never to make a pledge that you will never do that kind of negative things. So through the four powers, you can always destroy the negative actions that or the karmas. So this is the second approach. The third approach is giving torma. This is the short torma prayers there. You can do Nujin and the Chumbos, the Maras. You can offer the tormas. And when you're giving the tormas to the harmful beings, not the harmful, but they are spirits, like they are harmful spirits. And by thinking that when you pray for them, because I'm very thankful to you, I'm offering this torma because of your action, I was able to practice the Buddha bodhicitta of the Tonglen, or the relative bodhicitta or the ultimate bodhicitta. I'm very thankful to you, and therefore, please continue to help me in my practice. But if you cannot think like that in a way of Tonglen, what you can do or think is you can just say that when you are reciting the Torma to the Maras or the humble being, just pray that please take this Torma and go away, don't come here and don't harm me. That's the easiest part for those who are not really doing the Lojong. But those who are doing the Lojong, they must think like in a Tonglen way that I'm actually giving this Torma because you have helped me. You have all created all this obstruction, but in reality, that obstruction has been the cause for me to go further stronger in my path. And may whatever disease or harm that you have created, may all those such kind of disease of all sentient beings also fall upon me, and therefore I'm offering this torma. So this is the way of Tonglen thinking, Lojong practitioner way of thinking. But if you are not ready for that, then you can do the second way of thinking when doing the torma to the harmful beings, thinking, please take this torma and go away, never come back and don't harm me. So there's the giving torma to the harmful beings, the third approach of physical thing. And now the fourth and the last offering is to the offering of torma to the dharma protection. These are the good guys, the good guys who are always helping you, practice. Uh, in the context of offering tormas, to the dharmapalas, or like the good guy who are the dharma protectors, you can say that uh, may all those assistance and support that you have given in my part, in my practice, may they continue to increase. So therefore, please take this torma, accept this torma, so that your power to help me in my practice also increase day by day or always in my practice. So with that mentality, you have to offer this good torma to the good dharma protectors. So in this way, this is called the third way of transforming the adversity in the path, and mainly through the physical effort. These four are mainly the physical effort, whereas now the previous two, the ultimate bodhicitta practice and the relative bodhicitta, is the effort of mind. It does not involve the physical activity. These four are mostly emphasizing on the physical activity. That's why it's called the Jorwa Keperchin, or the special effort. The translation should be like the special effort in transforming the adversity into your in your path to the good favorable conditions. So these are now the third and the final way to transform your obstacles in your path. So, but the most important thing, as I said before, I said in the first context, whenever there's a problem, we should not blame it on the spirits by offering Thomas. These are much more secondary. You have to think that this is actually coming from self-cherishing, my own pride. Because of my own pride, people are reacting in that way. So therefore, I should be the one who should stop doing becoming proud. So you should always do that. That's called the real mental training, and that's called the real lodging practice in the context of the fifth point of 7 point of mind training. So So therefore, this four, in the terms of religious term, it's called Geksel, or the clearing of the obstacles. So Geksel, or clearing of the obstacles, is here referring to the obstacles in the path of the Dharma in your practice that are being cleared through these four rituals. So these are called Geksel, or the way to clear the obstacles in your practice. So in this way, we have now completed the three means, or the three way to transform the obstacles into your path, into much better quality or favorable conditions that will make you much more um closed and much more like a real practitioner of the Tonglen, or the Lojong practitioner. So therefore, let's go to the next last part. Apply the practice instantly. Whatever suddenly occurs in mind will be fortune of cemetery integrity as a support of practice. Now, this is the last part of this transforming the adversity in your part. It's like an off session. So when you are walking, or when you are like just wandering and you are not meditating, so you still wanted to transform this adversity in your part, you can do these two things. So if you're walking on the path and you are suddenly feeling happy because the sun is bright today after the rain, so when you feel that happiness, you have to think, may all sentient beings have the same kind of happiness that I am feeling right now. Maybe the sentient beings of the hell realms who are in darkness, or maybe in the sentient beings also, including in the Pardo realm, who is always facing this darkness. So you can be practically and thinking like, I'm doing the Tonglen practice as a Tonglen practitioner. May that happiness I'm having, may they have this happiness. You are exchanging the happiness of oneself for those all sentient beings who are not feeling the happiness. Second thing, you're walking and suddenly you misstep on a stone, you your leg get fracture, little bit of fracture, or you have a minor sort of pain in your leg. Think at that moment, may all the sentient beings, those who are having the same suffering like I am having on the path, may it all fall upon me and they become happy. So that is a practical way of what you call applying the practice instantly. So this is called something that you can do instantly without preparation. If you are walking, if you are going in the airport, you are going in a, let's say, in a mall, yet you forget about all those preparation, actual stage, and the dedication, but you still have this inspiration. Oh, I must do a little bit of maybe Tonglen in the mall, maybe in the McDonald's when you are having these things, and you pray, you feel this happiness. Or if you are feeling happy, may all the happiness, may my happiness goes towards all the sentient beings of all the 10 directions, and may they become happy. But you are having a pain, like you're having an iced tea, and you suddenly you have this what do you call that, toothache, because of the sensitivity, you think, oh man, whatever pain there is, all the sudden makes may it fall upon me right now when I'm feeling this pain. So this is a Tonglen practice that you can do right away without preparations. So this is a very brief or a shortest practice of doing the Tonglen practice. So this is the end of the fifth point. Sorry, the third point, transforming the adversity into the path. So today I will stop here because for the past few, I mean, I'm always busy nowadays for a lot of publications. So there are a lot of things we have to publish, edit, translate. So I'm always in that office. But today I thought it's good to get back to you guys because it's been almost many weeks that we have not seen each other. So I will be happy if you have any question right now, you can ask and we can have discussion today. If you have any question, please ask question.
OK，好，那我们今天的就是 PPT 到这里。那请问有哪一位师兄师姐有问题要请教 Khenpo Tenzin 的吗？
没有没有。
OK，那其他的师兄师姐，请问有人有问题要请教 Khenpo 的吗？对于今天的课程或者是平时修行上有什么问题？
有，
哦，好，
刚刚 Khenpo 有说将空性作为结果，所以当我们遇到这些障碍的时候，我们是不是一时间是无法接受了？可是我们是不是要一直在磨练磨练，要很努力的去磨平它，是不是这样的？
哦，OK，好，Khenpo Tenzin。Kelly 师姐，she has a question that we say that we need to change our mind in the emptiness, yeah, emptiness.
Yeah.
But when we have the problem, it means that we need to practice again and again until we completely to how to say to give our heart in a peace. Yeah,
Mm.
into peace.
So when you have problem, emptiness is one option, but it's not necessary you can do one option. You can do other also. If it's easy, you can do the relative bodhicitta. When you feel obstacles, you can also think if it's much more comfortable, you can do emptiness. But if it's not comfortable, you can just think the relative bodhicitta, the true way of relative bodhicitta, thinking they have been your mother and they have been very kind in your practice. So I'm always grateful for them. Or if this is not really making sense, then the first one, where you have to take the blame on yourself, which means your own self grasping. You see, when you have this problem with somebody, and then it's not easy to let go of that reaction right in one sitting. It's maybe difficult. But what you can do, you can move away from that person practically, maybe into the next room, or maybe far away into next house or next home, and then you have to think, sit down, and then think that, oh, the problem is not him or his, problem is my own misperception, my own false way of thinking. That's why I should blame my own self-cherishing thinking. So if you started to think like this is much more easy.
OK，
Do you mean by my?
那可以，Kelly 师姐可以吗？
可以，好的。
OK OK，好，请问还有哪一位师兄师姐有问题都可以提出来。Is anybody have question?
You know, when you really have a problem, I think there are options here, right? There are one, two, three, four options. Blaming yourself, your self-cherishing, contemplating on the kindness of sentient beings, contemplating on emptiness, like the four kayas. And the fourth one is making these four offerings and confession of negativities, going to your teachers saying that I've done this bad thing. I must confess this by through the four powers of the Shantideva's teaching, you know. Or can also, if you really wanted to be practical, you can go release the life of the fish to accumulate merit, or do some kora or some chanting. Maybe this helps, you know. So you have to choose among these which is really helping your mind. Just do not go directly to the highest thing. Like emptiness is difficult because we have not studied more about emptiness. Maybe in future we'll talk about Madhyamika teachings in future, maybe next time after. So there are so many things we have to study, but among these, you have to choose which is very really making sense to you, which is really very close to your mind. So choose that and do that again and again until you feel happy and comfortable and you can actually deal with that kind of negative things. So you have to do that things.
OK，好，那还有人有问题吗？
想问一下，那个像护法供养这个石子，这个石子是什么东西来的？
像护法供养师这，
Mm,
Khenpo
mm.
你 ask about that we say that in the post that we need to offering the karma to Grandma Protector.
Yeah.
So what is the karma?
Uh, Torma, there are a lot of Torma, right? So many. This Torma, the third one is a little bit small and few. And this you can do also in some of the puja like in Vairochana and so forth. This one, the fourth one is the Torma that comes in also Mahakala, you know,
Oh, okay.
and
So is
Mahakala and
this
also so forth. And
similar for the karma we see in the puja?
yeah, if you cannot make Torma, but what you can do, you can go to the Mahakala shrine for this
Yeah.
fourth one, and you try to make offering. But there's already a Mahakala Torma. So what you can do, you can offer the alcohol, you know, the wine, whiskey,
Yeah.
and then think that please protect me from all the harms. You have been always helpful in my practice of Tonglen. May I have more power to uh, see all these enemies as my mother, and then I have this power to take all the suffering of sentient beings upon me. So bless me, and then you think like that, and you pour the alcohol in the Mahakala shrine. You can do that when there's a puja going on with Kempola or lamas, right?
OK，
Mm.
好，那莉莉师姐这样子可以吗？
嗯，只是说那个朵玛是不是他们用什么？
哦，是这样的，Khenpo 这个意思是说，因为那个国码就跟我们平时的国码很像，但是因为我们平时做的那一个国码，我们本身自己没办法做这一个国码嘛，所以它其实这一个国码是说有点像是马哈嘎拉的国码这样子，大护法的一个国码。
Mm.
那我们平时做的可能就是说，像这一个国码，我们可能是说我们有那个护法杯，那我就在这个护法杯里面倒上红酒啊，倒上烈酒。那到的时候，你就要去观想说，所有的我的这些不好的缘啊，还是这些敌人，它本身是我自己的一个，我们一直在说的，要观想它是你过去 是个母亲。那我向就是护法供养这一个酒，那祈请他来就是加持我，来护持我，让我可以去消除掉这一个障碍。那让我接下来在修行，在落众的时候，在甚至是打坐的时候，在后续的修行，不会因为这一个敌人的一个干扰，导致我自己没办法去持续的，就是精进自己的修行。
好，没事。
Especially in the case of this dharma protecting the dharma or the alcohol, the dharma protector, it is said in the text that you have to focus on main three things, four things. First, you have to think, may you clear all the obstacles in my bodhisattva practice. Second, you have to think, may all the facilities needed, support needed to become bodhisattva is given to me. Third thing, you have to also think, visualize all the obstacles, may they be transformed. And then fourth one, you have to think, by this offering, may all in my all future lives, I continue have the bodhicitta to become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings. So this four mentality is needed when you are making offering to the Dharma protectors as Tonglen practitioners.
那莉莉师姐这样子可以吗？
好。
好，那请问还有哪一位师兄师姐有问题呢？OK，好，再确认一下，还有哪一位师兄师姐有问题？
再问多一个。
嗨，可以呀。
OK，有一天你驾车在路上，
嗯，
连路上很多车，然后你看见一个死去的动物，被很多车在碾过，可是你又不
是
忍心，可是你又在赶时间，你的时间上又不允许你去处理这个路上的动物，
是。
你会怎么做？
哦呀，Khenpo，
Mm.
Kelly 师姐 asked，like how could I say? When we driving on the road, and I see that in this road they have so many car, but in on the road they have a get animal. So every time we'll driving forward and crush it. So I maybe say we haven't much time to solve this problem. I cannot to help this the animal to move its body to the side.
Mm.
So how can we do?
Actually, yeah, it's very difficult because you are moving in a very speed, especially in Nepal possible because with Nepal cars vary just 30 kilometer per hour or 40, but Malaysia, Singapore very fast, right? So you cannot
Yeah,
stop suddenly. So, but I think if you see it's very important you generate this thing like if the animal is dead or almost dying or have a broken leg or something like that, anyone, animal, bird, this human, we have to have this thinking like, may they be free from suffering. And if you are doing Tonglen, you have to take that suffering upon yourself. But
yeah,
I mean, if you are driving, you have too much focus. At least practically, you have to think, may the animal be free from suffering of that pain. At least you have to think that much. But if you really wanted to go much more than that, then you have to do the Tonglen. You have to take that suffering upon yourself, or all the sentient beings who are feeling this pain of meeting the accident. May they never have this suffering. May they always have happiness. So you have to take the suffering and pass the happiness. But in driving, it's difficult because you have to focus every second, right? So at least try to just think, may it be free from pain. You have to just have this thinking. It's called compassion.
好，Kelly 师姐可以吗？
嗯，但是本身有这样子，本身有这样子过后有这样子去祈祷他，祈祷这个动物，可是自己的内心还是很过意不去了，就是
哦，就是可能就是看了之后说，怎么这个就是怎么大家车都直接碾过这个动物的尸体这样子。
Mm.
Kelly 师姐是这样吗？
大概是这样，因为就是说，如果真的是，如果是在我们把这个赶时间的，我们抛开它，再倒回
Mm.
去处理这个动物，我们的这样的做法，
应该是这么说，因为像刚才 Khenpo 田径所说的，那可能是说在尼泊尔那边，大家车没有开得那么快，可能我大概也是开一个40左右，但是在马来西亚跟新加坡不一样，我今天可能说我在高速公路上、highway 上，我在 driving，我在驾车，我们时速可能甚至可以说我跑到100。那你必须非常 focus 在你自己的驾驶，因为你自己本身就是也处在这个非常高速的时候，就是说 t e m p o 是说，因为你这一个你整个要说，你要做到非常非常深入的说，哦，我觉得他很可怜，我要去帮助他，很抱歉，你基本上这个东西非常的难，但是最起码的，当我们可能看到说这种动物的尸体呀。甚至是说我看到有车发生意外呀，那你最起码的，你可以最简单的部分，那你就是说，哦，我内心我跟上师我去祈祷，我去跟佛菩萨祈祷，让他可以去远离、解脱，从这个痛苦当中解脱，这是你可以做的。那如果再深入一点的话，就回到我们之前所说的那个 c o n c e p t 怎么去做一个转化？透过你自己的一个观想，去把他的痛苦透过你的内心去转化掉，那你再给予他这一个就是功德的一个加持、一个祝福，让他可以从这个痛苦当中解脱。但是这个就像 Khenpo 偏镜所一直在说的，这个本身是一个非常困难的事情。你今天在开车，你必须去专注在你自己开车上，而不是一直去说哦，我看到了之后我被它影响了，那从而导致我去分心，那分心了之后，最后就会变成你自己处在这一个危险当中，这样子的一个意思
嗯，好的好的，这样解脱我的问题了。
啊。OK，
好，谢谢。
Mm.
好，那请问还有人有问题想要请教 Khenpo 吗
还有没有？
？Okay, have
Okay.
anyone still have a question?
If no, then we we take a break.
Okay, it's look like and now we have no more question.
Okay. Okay, so in the end, we dedicate all this virtue for all sentient beings' happiness and freedom from suffering. So I wish you a good night.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
Kenji, Khenpo Kenji.
okay,
Thank
I will
you.
see you
Thank
in
you. Good
next
night.
session. Yeah. Okay, bye bye.
Bye.
OK, thank you, Kenji, Khenpo Kenji. 好，大家晚安，晚安，
晚安，吉祥，新年能够。
时间能够。